Hello, folks. Welcome back. We are here for another stream of Kingdom Death Simulator. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. My computer's doing some weird stuff. So if there's any slowdown or issues, please let me know because things are running a little clunky tonight. That's a bit odd, but we'll keep an eye on that and see where we go. That said, welcome aboard. As with every stream, we are going to start off with our usual content warning. I am in the wrong tab. I am a mess here tonight, folks. There we go. So, Kingdom Death Monster is a very mature game, has a lot of adult imagery, as well as depictions and descriptions of body horror, violence, gore, as well as descriptions of mental trauma. So, as always, first and foremost, please look after yourselves. That said, oh boy, do we have some stuff going on tonight. So, for anybody who missed out, I'm going to lower my audio here a little bit. Of course, OBS being OBS decided to completely reset my audio settings in between streams. That didn't help. Last time around, we failed completely. So previous campaign started off okay, but as time went on, started falling a little farther behind the curve. Things didn't quite work out for us. I personally made several rules mistakes that resulted in just being a little too far behind it to recover. Population was too low, resources were too low. It was decided that it was probably best to end there and start fresh with a new campaign. With that new campaign, we actually were able to swap out some monsters. So we have a chat command here for current campaign. Where you can see what the quarries and the nemesis that we are going to be fighting in this campaign are. So as we decided at the end of the last stream, for our quarry node 1, we are going to be dealing with the frog dog. For our quarry node 2, we have the Spidicules. And for our quarry node 3, since we didn't get to it last time around, we are staying with the default, and that is the Phoenix. For our nemesis, we are continuing again with the Butcher for node 1. For node 2, we selected the Lion Knight. And for node 3, again, we did not get to him, so we are going to be, that's not him, there he is. We are going to be dealing with the Hand. Come on. So that is what we have as well. You see here we have this cool little tree back here. The Nightmare Tree is going to be part of the campaign potentially. It's not something you come across very often, but if it does, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Beyond that, if you want to see that first campaign, you can do so over on the YouTube channel. All VODs are uploaded there within a day or two of the stream. And for those of you over on the YouTube side, thank you very much for joining me there. If you look in the description, you can find a link to the Twitch channel where we are live every Friday evening. Moving on, my last usual reminder, Kingdom Death is a very complex game. It is a lot of rules, a lot of stats, a lot of things to keep track of. It's a lot of work when you're playing with 4 people. It is even more work when you're playing with 1. So I'm going to do my best to get all the rulings correct, not forget things, but please bear with me. If you notice that I have made any sort of mistake, you can flag me in the chat with the remind feature. Sometimes I get a little in the tank and I don't quite focus on chat. I'm a little too busy in the game, but I will do my best as well. Again, YouTube folks, if you want to leave a comment, let me know if I made a mistake or missed out on something. I will surely appreciate any assistance because there are a lot of complexities. And with some of those rulings that I got wrong last time around, that's ultimately what led to the campaign failing. I think that is all of the housekeeping to take care of. So let's dive right in. So if you remember last time, we had this fun little prologue where the survivors woke up, blah, 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 blah. Things are terrible. We don't know what's going on. Oh my God, there's a giant lion about to eat us. What are we going to do? So this is largely the same. However, with the Frog Dog expansion, I actually made a small mistake last time around, where I said that the White Lion would still be in the campaign as the prologue because the only other prologue monster in the game was not present in the digital version yet. I was mistaken. The Frog Dog actually does have a prologue encounter. The Frog Dog is actually the most recent major expansion for the game total, not just in digital simulator, but in real life. This came out, I believe, late last year, maybe early this year. I think it was late last year. So this is very fresh. To me, I don't own this in real life, so the simulator is going to be my first interaction with it. So that's going to be very interesting. So instead of dealing with the White Lion, there is a bigger threat to worry about. The Frog Dog shows up to devour the White Lion. A monster appears from the darkness and devours the White Lion. The starting survivors battle the prologue Frog Dog instead of the first story White Lion. So we're going to set up. I've already done all of this in the background, but there's a lot of stuff to look at here. Also, I think the toughness is slightly lower on the Frog Dog. Let's take a look at that real quick. The starting lion stats should be in here somewhere. It's move and attack, triggered effects, brain trauma, foods. I know it's in here somewhere. Nope, wrong button. Oh, the White Lion's toughness is 6. I knew it was different. So the Frog Dog is actually a little tougher than the White Lion. That's going to be interesting. I think the movement is also a little higher. So that's going to be interesting. Nope, it's okay. The internet guy knocked on the door just as I was about to go to start the stream, so I just started a couple minutes late. So that's fine. So we got a lot to talk about with the Frog Dog. So Frog Dog, as we said, let's take a look, because I've got to learn this fight as well. So we have our basic action for him. This gives us information. He will target a random stinky survivor in range. Currently, nobody has any stink tokens, so nobody is stinky. Then he will target the stinkiest survivor, regardless of whether or not they're in range. And if none of those, he will then do his trait, which is cagey, which place the monster in the center of the showdown board, drawn to the scent of unease, barking dog poles race out from under the Frog Dog. All sane survivors are marked with dog scent and gain -1 evasion token and a stink token. All right, so that's bad. That's going to be bad. Because then additionally, so 3 speed is a lot. 5 accuracy is actually way lower than the White Lion. The White Lion was hitting on a 2+, so that's good news. But then he's also going to perform this special action. So we have a lot of things to look at here with his traits. Starting off with Leap. Place the Frog Dog on the center of a random mammoth leaf. Those are these terrain tiles. It currently does not occupy, and turn its blind spot to face the center of the board. The monster crashes down with malicious heft. All adjacent survivors and survivors the monster lands on suffer monster level damage to a random hit location. Because we look at these mammoth leaves, when fighting the Frog Dog, set him up, blah, blah, blah. So we can use our movement and our action to bounce on the leaf. If you're on the leaf, you can place your survivor on an unoccupied space up to 7 spaces away, then activate a weapon attack with +3 strength. So this is interesting. So this means the mammoth leaf is beneficial to us. It lets us attack with a lot more power. However, if the monster decides to leap, we are now also in danger. So there's a cool risk reward here. Next, we have Foul Stench. The Frog Dog's presence elevates the riot of smells in the area to a fever pitch. On arrival, all survivors gain 1 stink token. Okay, for each stinky gear in their gear grid. So right now that's nothing. If a survivor has any stink tokens, they are stinky. The stinkiest survivor is the one with the most stink tokens. Noted. The double sphincter. Puckered complex musculature emits heinous gas wrapped in a crackling mucus bubble. It wobbles through the air, drawn to the bioelectric pulses. At the start of the monster's turn, before drawing AI, play all farts on this card one at a time. So currently there are no farts. However, if you look here, there is an entire deck of them. So he has an extra deck of cards that's going to come into play. And then finally, we have the gaseous bloat. So this is what we saw over here. Loudly churning bilious organs inflate the monster's guts with putrid gas. Gaseous bloat. Place the top card of the fart deck face down on double sphincter. If there are no farts left in the deck, the breathable air becomes too thin. All survivors suffer a random brain trauma with -1 to the result. Then reshuffle the fart discard pile to create a new fart deck. So this kind of puts us on a timer. I don't know how often he's going to activate gaseous bloat. We see it here on the basic action. But we don't know how many of his other cards right now do have that. And then when the monster suffers a wound from a survivor in the heinous origin, we'll get to that in a second, a squealing emission dissipates harmlessly. Discard the top fart card on double sphincter. So if you see here, we didn't fight any of the larger monsters in our first campaign. So this is our first encounter with a 3x3 monster. So normally the monsters we fought previously were 2x2. So you can only fit 2 survivors in the blind spot. You can now fit 3 survivors in the blind spot against Frog Dog because he's that much bigger. And specifically in the rules, the heinous origin, unsurprisingly, is the center of the blind spot. So basically, if you stab him in the butt, you get to discard some of those cards. Finally here, just like in the White Lion, when you're setting up the prologue deck, there are specific cards that go on top. So for the Frog Dog, for his top AI card, this gives us a little more information that we can learn how to fight this guy. Pick target, closest stinky threat in range, closest survivor in range. So this is pretty much identical to his basic action, just with slightly different targeting rules. So, okay, so now we have, of the 2 cards we know, both of them perform gaseous bloat. Noted. And then also the top card of his hit location deck is standard with the twitching digit flexors. On a wound, the Frog Dog's wide-set eyes greedily scan for a chance to retaliate. If the attacker is not in the monster's blind spot, perform leap, then the attacker suffers grab. Not great. So we definitely want to make sure that our first attack against the monster that hits is in the blind spot. On a critical wound, he has a persistent injury for busted knuckles. Don't know what that's going to affect. So this is something that's slightly different from the White Lion. When we fought the White Lion, that critical wound on that first card was very impactful. It allows us to gain a permanent strength on a survivor. So we were incentivized to use a founding stone on that first turn to get that bonus. We do not have that same incentive here. So I'm going to say right now, we're probably not going to spend our founding stone on turn 1. We're going to save that for a later time. Because while this bonus is nice, it doesn't seem as critical as that +1 strength was before. That is the Frog Dog. Oh, one last thing. We have this little bit of terrain over here, the Copperfish Den. So for an action, we can stick our hand in the hole, archive the terrain, and roll a d10. If carrying a lure lantern, roll 2d10 and add the results. So on a 1 to 3, we suffer a random severe arm injury. That's brutal. On a 4 to 12, we get a burnished encephalomatour. This is going to be pretty important going forward for the Frog Dog. And then on a 13 plus, we get 2. So I'm going to say right now, it seems like we are not going to touch that thing until we have a lure lantern. Because a 30% chance, if you're only rolling 1 die for a severe arm injury, is rough. 15% chance if you're rolling 2 feels a little better. Yeah. So we're going to ignore that. That's why I chucked it off to the side of the board where we're not going to have to deal. I think that covers everything for the monster. So now let's take a look at who our new group of survivors is. For the first campaign, just to keep things air quotes canon, I used the canon names for the survivors. That was cute, but let's move on from that. I don't want to be using Urza and Alistair and Lucy and Zachary every time. Those names might pop up, but poor Lucy. We have to give her a break. We can't have her go through that again. As for who is joining us, we have Chandra, who is using the Urza model. We have Shirley, who is using the Lucy model. We have Grigori, who is using the Zachary model. And finally, Rickard, who is using the Alistair model. Nothing special about them. They are fresh out of the plane of stone faces. They all have the same equipment. They don't have any abilities. We're just going to kick this off and see how it goes. It's entirely possible we lose here. I don't know how to fight the frog dog. This is going to be a learning adventure for everybody. So I'm fairly certain the frog dog goes first. Let's just double check the rules. Make sure. Okay, it does not say the survivors go first, so we assume the frog dog goes first, which is normal. Typically, the survivors only go first against a nemesis or with some special rules in play. So let's see what happens. We already know the card. We draw the Wet Slap. So the closest stinky threat in range, nobody is stinky. The closest survivor in range should be everybody. They're all the same distance. So let's bring him centrally. Chandra or Shirley? Let's just roll to see. Odds for Chandra, evens for Shirley. Chandra it is. So he will come over here. And 3 speed on 5+. 3 speed in a prologue is wild. All right, let's see what happens. That's 3 hits. Chandra is not having a great day here. So that is 1 damage each to the body, the hands, and the legs. None of those are super critical at the moment, so we are just going to take all 3 of those. That's just light wounds. She will be fine for now. And we perform Gaseous Bloat, which means we take the top card of the fart deck and bring it over here. So on his next turn, let me make sure I remember that correctly. Before drawing AI, he will play this card, but hopefully we can get rid of it. So let's start with Rickard to see if he can do so. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get into that heinous origin. So he has his Founding Stone. So he's 2 speed, hitting on a 7+. That is a hit. Again, since this is the first session of a new campaign, just going to reiterate some of the rules. A Lantern 10 on an attack roll is known as a perfect hit. On its own, it doesn't do anything, but there are some abilities later on that will synergize with that. And so we already know this one. It is the Twitching Digit Flexors. So this is interesting. We want to wound to get rid of the fart card. But wounding would be bad for Rickard. But let's just see how that goes. So the Founding Stone has a strength of 1. The Frog Dog has a toughness of 7. So that means we need to roll a 6 to wound. And we get a crit. All right, we didn't need to spend the Founding Stone on the crit. So a crit, obviously we get a special ability, but also it will cancel this reaction. Rickard, you might be the all-star this time around, buddy. We have not named the settlement yet, and no, I don't have a name, so think of one. I'm going to need some help. So this now stays in effect, the Busted Knuckle. Potentially when we draw some cards, that is going to have extra effects. Very nice. And that is a wound, so we draw the top card of the AI deck and put it into his wound stack. So this is how wounds work in the game. You just take cards out of its deck. As the monster gets more wounded, he has less and less options available to him, but that also potentially makes him more dangerous with the moves that they do have. And then eventually, once all the cards are gone, he's down to his basic action, and then one more wound will finish the fight. And then we also get to discard. Whoops, didn't want to look at that. I get to discard that top card on the fart deck because what was it? Gaseous bloat. Yeah. So when they suffer a wound from the heinous origin, we discard. All right, that's nice. Now for everybody else, let's just move in 1, 2, 3, 4. We can get Shirley into the blind spot. Oh, that's right. I forgot. So from the blind spot, he should have been hitting on 6s, not 7s. Didn't matter. Still only one hit regardless. So Shirley will also be hitting on 6s. That is no hits. Let's get Chandra to semi-safety. Let's leave her here. She is not in the blind spot, so she will be hitting on 7s. That is no hits. And then finally, Grigori. If I can't get into the blind spot, so I'll leave him here. Actually, I don't want to be adjacent to the Mammoth Leaf if I can help it, because if he leaps, then I'll take damage. And same for him. No hits, unfortunately. All right, so thankfully Rickard, who was the only one that really needed to hit, was able to pull it off because everybody else, not great. So yeah, this is how the game is. The survivors are always at a disadvantage, especially early on. This first fight can be very tough, even if you're experienced in the game, because you just don't have anything special to work with. But that is everybody's turn, so we come back around to the monster, who will draw his next AI card. Oh, this is a mood. Snatch and Squash. The frog dog's hind leg muscles spasm. At the end of the monster's turn, target a random survivor. Perform leap, target suffers grab. That's bad. And then we get to discard when the monster suffers a critical wound. So we are 100%, well, not 100%, almost 100% throwing a Founding Stone this turn to get that off. Ooh, that's bad. So technically, that in the big picture counts as a wound, as that is a card out of the AI deck. But I'm not going to track that on the overlay because once we get rid of this, it's just going to go back into the pile. So that's his turn. However, this is in effect, so he will do it once before we have an opportunity to do anything about it. So he's going to perform Leap, which we know here. Place the frog dog in the center of a random Mammoth Leaf. It currently does not. All right. So first of all, let's see who the random survivor is. It is Grigori. And then we will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he will go over here. And then he turns away. And then he takes Grigori with him. Because he suffers grab. Which means Grigori is knocked down and suffers 1 damage to a random hit location. I think Grigori isn't any random, but let's double check real quick. or not random, but we get to choose where he is adjacent. Grab. Perform knockdown in front of the monster. Okay. I thought I could get away with it. Nope, Grigori is up here. He is knocked down. And he will take 1 damage to the waist. That is fine. The waist is the only place our starting survivors have armor. And that is the end of the turn, because I don't think he does anything else. Yeah, we're good. So now we definitely need to do a critical wound. We're going to send in our first 2 attackers to see if they can do it naturally. If not, Chandra will throw her Founding Stone to just automatically do that. So we'll start with Rickard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since there's nothing on there's no fart cards out, I'm going to stay out of the Heinous Origin just because I have a feeling that's a place where you don't want to be if you can help it. I might be wrong. We'll see how things go. So Rickard will take his swing. No hits. Shirley will come in on this side and do the same. She gets 1 hit to the festering posterior. Wow, this guy leaps all over the place. Interesting. All right, we don't have to really worry about the leap because the grab is not part of the leap normally. That was specifically on this card. But let's just see what happens. We need to roll a 6 to wound. Crit would be fantastic. Or that. All right. So just to make sure we get rid of this snatch and squash, we are going to have Chandra throw her Founding Stone. We'll move her up a bit, though. Just so she's in range for future actions. And she will throw her Founding Stone. So this means she will spend her action to archive this, which means it's gone forever. But it is an automatic hit with an automatic crit. So that now goes away. So she is now going to be weaponless, which is unfortunate, but I think it's the better of the 2 options here. So she will automatically hit the twitching Achilles tendon. Oh, wow, too real. I have issues with my Achilles tendon in real life. We're not going to have to worry about this reflex because we auto crit. The frog dog is stunned. It rolls protectively through its writhing pile of spawn. Its bloated mass shrinks from the exertion. The monster gains a -1 toughness token, and we gain a random frog dog resource. Okay, that was a very well-timed Founding Stone then. So that is 1 extra wound. He gets a -1 toughness token. So we will also track that on the overlay. That's super helpful. And we get a random resource. I believe I already have his deck out. Correct. We get whatever this is. The Waxy Dermis. Nothing special about it, though. Okay. But it is a hide, which is very nice to see early on. That is everybody's turn. Grigori is still laid out, unfortunately. And that is the end of our turn. So we come back around to the monster. Abrasive Lick, the stinkiest threat in range. That it... Ooh, I should have put Chandra in a different place. That's unfortunate. Yeah, that was dumb. Oh well, it is what it is. Stinkiest threat in range. Nobody is stinky. Closest threat in field of view in range. Grigori is not a threat because he is knocked down. Rickard and Shirley are not in field of view because they're in the blind spot, so it is going to attack Chandra, which means he's going to land, he's got to walk over Rickard and Shirley. That's unfortunate. So they will both suffer knockback 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And be knocked down and suffer 1 damage. I did not do that very well. That was not smart. So Rickard to the body and Shirley to the body. All right, so gotta think ahead. So we have coming around here to attack Chandra, 3 speed, 5 accuracy, with an after damage effect. So optimally we want no hits. 1 hit we can dodge. 2 hits are going to be a problem. No hits. Excellent. This was unfortunate, but okay. So at the end of the monster's turn, Grigori finally gets to stand up. Rickard and Shirley will be out of action, and I don't like that Shirley is on the Mammoth Leaf. Ugh. Suboptimal. All right. So we will have Grigori go first. He's just going to step up and take his swing. No hits. Chandra's just going to stay right where she is, I think. She's going to stay there. So she no longer has a weapon. She, however, always has Fist and Tooth available to her, which is hitting on 2 speed, hitting on an 8+, no strength, but it does have deadly, so it crits on a 9. So she's looking for 8s right now, unfortunately. She gets a hit. To the twitching abdominis. All right. So now the creature is at -1 toughness. However, Fist and Tooth is at 0 strength. So we're still looking for that 6 to wound. And we get the 6. That's good because failure would have been unfortunate. So we'll take that wound. And that's all we can do this turn. So we come back around to the monster. The gnashing and barking. Farthest stinky threat. Nobody is stinky still. I'm assuming you become stinky from the fart cards. Or when you arrive due to foul stench, but we had no stinky gear when we arrived. Closest threat in field of view and range. That is going to be Chandra. Ooh, I don't like this. Okay, that's actually okay. We'll get to that in a second. So closest threat in field of view and range is Chandra. So again. And again, no hits. Chandra. Yes, Lantis. Perfect. All right, so there's no hits on the attack. However, we have Intimidate survivors. The monster's eyes bulge with exertion. It barks madly. Roll a d10 for each survivor in the monster's facing. On a 4+, that survivor suffers monster level brain damage. So thankfully, we only have 1 person in facing. So for facing, we draw a line, and it's anybody that is in front of the monster, which is Chandra. So roll a d10. That is a 4+, so she will suffer 1 brain damage, which brings her to her light wound on her brain. So again, just to cover the basics of the game, since this might be the first video somebody is watching, much like you have armor for your body, you also have armor for your brain. In this game, that comes in the form of insanity. You have to be a little crazy to do the things that these survivors are doing. Unfortunately, these survivors do not have enough experience to have any insanity just yet. But that is the end of the monster's turn, which means now Rickard and Shirley get to stand up. I'm going to have Shirley move first just because I want her off of this. I mean, I'm not crazy about Grigori being back there, but I think Grigori will be okay. So Shirley, no hits. We'll let Grigori go next. Grigori gets a hit since he's in the blind spot. The Festering Shoulder. So now he needs a 5 to wound thanks to that token. Not happening. So the wound effect does not trigger. Okay. We'll have Rickard step up. Make his attack. That is 1 hit. He's not on the blind spots. The 6 misses. The Twitching Memory Sac. Oh, I apologize, ma'am. I've been calling you he this whole time. Probably should have recognized that in the picture. This frog dog is a lady. They swing pendulously over the mound of whimpering mouths. I don't like that. No special reactions here. So we're just looking for that 5. Didn't get it. All right, can we get a wound this turn, team? Chandra is the least likely to do so. Oh, she gets 1 hit. The Twitching Coarse Crest. The flesh is surprisingly pliant, carrying the impressions of countless weapons clearly marked in the skin. Oh, and Chandra, with her fist and tooth, gets a crit. The Agitated Dog Poles. So let's just... We didn't really take a good look at our friend the frog dog here. Yeah, it's sitting on a pile of its babies. The Agitated Dog Poles blindly sniff. Oh, you missed some interesting stuff already, Atlantis. The Agitated Dog Poles blindly sniff in the gloom. The dog poles sneak out any stinky survivors adjacent to the monster. Nobody is stinky. And nurse helplessly on their hapless surrogates. Oh, that's... Oh, horror and surprising sympathy overwhelm the survivors. If any surrogates are insane, they gain +1 luck. Oh, that is gross. None of them, nobody is stinky, nobody is insane, so nothing special happens here. Oh, Poots, what did you do? What did you design? So that is everybody's turn. The monster is out of AI cards, so we will shuffle the deck and draw a new. With Gnashing and Barking again. For the stinky threat, that's nobody. Closest threat in field of view and range. So that's going to be either Rickard, Shirley, or Chandra. Everybody's kind of taken some damage. Everybody also still has their survival. So it's between Rickard and Shirley. Since they're both equally as banged up. Let's make it Rickard. Rickard hasn't taken a hit yet. And that's why I kind of positioned the survivors like this, so that if this card came up again, he would only be targeting one of them. That is 2 hits. That is 1 damage each to the body and the body. Well, we're not going to do that. That's already bad enough. So Rickard will spend his 1 survival to dodge one of those hits. But that still puts him at a heavy wound on the body. Which on its own doesn't really do anything too scary, but he is knocked down. And then we have to do the Intimidate. That will also be on Rickard. That will also be 1 brain damage on him. All right, guys. This is getting dicey. We need to get some hits. We need to score some wounds. Do I want to move everybody into the blind spot? That might be the play. All right. Well, let's start with Shirley and see what happens. Shirley gets 1 hit. The Festering Fingernail. Looking for that 5 to wound. And nothing. And again, like, honestly, this guy is mean. He has so many negative effects on his hit locations for wounding. Let's just move everybody in and see what we can do. Uh-oh, get back here. That is a hit from Grigori to the twitching back. That is also a failure to wound. All right, Chandra. You need to show everybody how this is done. Chandra. Chandra, you were supposed to show everybody how it's done. What happened? Okay. Yeah. Big ol' whiff. Okay. The abrasive lick, stinkiest threat, closest. See, this was the risk. I had a feeling. So now we got to do cagey. Definitely should have left at least one person out of. Although this is. It is what it is. So he does cagey. Place the monster in the center of the showdown board. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I have made a mistake. This is very bad. Okay. So what is the center of the board when you have a 3x3? Can we game this? So he started in the center, so we're going to say that's where he goes. So it's 2 up from that pad. So he's going to go here. So this happens again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. We might be attempting this fight again. This is bad. So for Chandra, it's a damage to her legs. That's a heavy wound on her legs. And for Shirley, also her legs. So he now moves here. I guess we'll leave him in that facing. That's fine. I have never fought this monster before. This is a learning experience. Instead of complaining, why don't you help? So everybody gets a stink token and -1 evasion. That's rough. Oh, all sane survivors, but everybody is currently sane. So I should probably go get those stink tokens. Wow, they give you a ton of these. Interesting. Let's just grab a bunch. Pass those out. All right, note to self, don't stack everybody in the blind spot. That's okay. However, Rickard does stand up. Oh boy. Okay. So Grigori get to do something. All right, we get 2 hits. First time we've done that this fight. That's bad. Okay, we can do this one first because we are in the blind spot. That is a wound. Zachary does not crit on a 9, unfortunately. So there's that one. And then here, so reflex is going to happen regardless of if we wound or not. The only way to avoid it is to crit. Now, we didn't even wound. The monster's massive head snaps back, revealing a delicate lacework of wrinkles. Perform leap, then gaseous bloat. Ugh. Oh, this could be real bad. This could be so bad. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh no! Oh. So he's gonna land on Shirley and Chandra. Ugh. So I don't think they get knocked back. It doesn't say they suffer collision. So I'm gonna say they just get pushed off the leaf. We'll see. I'll look that up later. But yeah, he comes over here, turns that way. And then they will also suffer 1 damage. So for Chandra, that's her body. Okay, that's a heavy. She's alive. And then for Shirley, that is her waist. That's perfect. And he does gaseous bloat, so we bring one of these over. And I cannot get anybody to the blind spot, or to the heinous origin specifically. Rickard can't do anything. So I'm going to say it's probably a bad idea to be anywhere behind him right now. So let's just go here. No. I gotta think about this for a second. We have to move him just straight forward. There's nowhere else to really put him. That'll also leave him. Well, no, because the monster's going to move. So, yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be okay. But that's all we can do. It's not worth throwing a founding stone just now. So now it's the monster's turn, and now we have a fart card. We get to see our first fart card. It is Rotten Emission, a wave of prickling as every pore in your skin opens at once to soak up the greasy stench. Target a survivor the fewest spaces from the heinous origin. So I was correct that you don't want to be behind him, but you're still going to be somebody, and it's going to be Grigori, which is fine. Grigori hasn't taken a scratch. Well, he took 1 damage to his waist. Target the survivor the fewest spaces from the heinous origin. They suffer monster level damage to a random hit location, monster level brain damage, and gain a stink token. Okay, well, we can deal with that. So it's 1 damage to his head. Ugh, that's not an attack, so we can't even dodge it. Oh. So unlike other, let's take a quick look at a character sheet, for example. So everybody has their armor and their hit locations. For every location, they have a light wound and a heavy wound. Light wound realistically means nothing. Heavy wound means they're knocked down, and any additional wounds beyond that will be severe. However, for the head, there is no light hit location, so they immediately suffer a heavy, which means Grigori is knocked down from that. He also suffers monster level. Actually, is he the closest? Because I think, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's going to be one of the girls, actually. It's not even going to be Grigori. I mean, you're getting graphic. Violent. We'll see how that goes. Hey, Jen. Welcome aboard, bud. We're getting farted on right now. That's how this is going. So yeah, Grigori's actually fine. It's going to be one of the girls. Who's best equipped to handle this? It's got to be Shirley. Chandra's gotten her ass beat. So damn it. Or no, I already rolled the head. I'm going to stick with that for Shirley. I mean, they're both bad. You picked an interesting time to check it out. We are in deep. This is our second campaign. I'm fighting a monster I've never fought before, and it's not going well. Then she's also going to take her brain wound and gain a stink token. Jesus. So she is now the stinkiest. And now we still get to draw the monsters card. Brutal. Okay. So the good news is we got rid of that mood. The mood got discarded at some point. The closest stinky threat in range, Shirley is not a threat. So it's going to be either Grigori or Rickard. Grigori is closer. So these will now hit on 4s because everybody got that -1 evasion. Oof. Not that it really mattered. All right, so that's 1 damage each to the waist and the body. How's Grigori doing? Grigori can take it. Grigori can take it. And we get another gaseous bloat. So we got to get that off. Not the worst. So this means nothing. This was such a setup. They have this card as the first thing you target in the fight. And unless we manage to discard something in those first couple turns, this critical wound means nothing. Busted Knuckle has done nothing for us. End of the monster's turn. Chandra and Shirley mercifully get to stand up. So we have to get a wound in the heinous origin. So Rickard is going to be our best bet at that. Two hits. That's good. What are we looking at here? That's bad. That's interesting. But that's less bad, so we're going to go for that one first. Wounding on a 5. Well, that didn't happen. Melodic trills echo from the chambers of the monster's gullet. Adjacent insane survivors perceive the frog dog's infectious laughter. Nobody is insane. So to be insane, you need 3 or more insanity. Nobody has insanity yet, as we discussed. Okay, Rickard, I really need you to get this wound. Really need you to get this wound. I'm not even... Okay, I'm a contributing factor. I screwed up the couple of turns. But we're still... It's mostly the monster's hands. Please, just roll a 5. Please just roll a 5. That's a 6. I'll take it. So no negative effects. We get to discard another card. We're slowly getting this done. And since we were in the heinous origin, we get to get rid of this fart card. Uh-oh. There we go. All right, we're making it happen. I will bring Chandra into the blind spot. Chandra will get 2 hits. All right, we've got to be getting close to the trap. Okay, there's nothing negative on this card, so we're going to start with it. Slowly, one milky, transparent lid slides down over the bulging eye. Then another slides up from the bottom. That's not too bad. That's normal, I think, for frogs. She needs a 6 to wound. Crit! Okay. Your blow causes the frog dog to seize up, its eyeball twitching violently before tumbling from its socket. Gross. I love it. The pattern of blood vessels etched on the empty socket is revealed. The attacker witnesses an omen. So that doesn't mean anything right now, I don't think. But that will be important for the frog dog going forward. Gain 1 Aqueous Eye Frog Dog resource and archive this card. Interesting. Let's go find that eyeball. Aqueous Eye. Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, come on. There we go. I just don't like them stacking when they're here. When you gain this, a random survivor gains the eproctophilia disorder. Okay. Random survivor is Grigori. Eproctophilia. Okay, there it is right there. When you gain a stink token, gain +1 insanity. Okay, you must depart with stinky gear in your gear grid. Okay. So we can record that on his sheet. And try to remember all those rules. Also, we still have to deal our wound. Yeah, we still have 1 more hit. Am I proud of you? Always? So we still have to try to wound this one. That is another wound. Excellent. So nothing bad happens here. All right, we are down to it. Monster only has 1 wound left. Oops. I cannot do that here. Deleted Slack off my phone and won't re-download it until I get back. I am exceptionally proud of you. Please enjoy your week off. Are you doing anything interesting this week, by the way? All right, so we still have 2 survivors to go. Oh, cool. Where in Florida? All right, so I don't have a great place for Shirley. So I think what I want to do, because I'm worried about being adjacent to these leaves still. Shirley's pretty beat up. Grigori can take some damage. So I'm going to bring Shirley here so she's not adjacent to any of the leaves. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I know where that is. It's a nice chill area. It still tries to be like a tourist trap, but it's not that bad. Yeah, Shirley, let's do it. Nothing happening. Okay. And then Grigori. Do I want to... I don't like everybody stacking up the way they are. All right, let's think about this for a second, because we know what attack he's doing on his next turn, assuming we don't kill him this time around. Random stinky survivor in range. Okay. So it doesn't really matter where we have Grigori. So yeah, I'm trying not to be adjacent to these leaves if I can help it right now. All right, let's just not worry about that and have Grigori finish it off. 1 hit. Oh, it's the death blow. Okay. Oh, Grigori. Grigori, I need you to roll a 5, buddy. This is meant to happen. This is meant to be. All right, I gotta do the fancy thing. Go! No. Womp womp. And I'm gonna say this right now. I'm calling this. We missed the death blow. The next card is going to be the trap. You know it. You know it. Ugh. All right, well, we have our basic action. Right, there we are. So random stinky survivor in range. Everybody is now stinky. Listen, I'm not speaking it into existence. You all have watched enough of these to know that's what's going to happen. Whether I talk about it or not, I'm just preparing y'all for what's about to happen. So random, that is going to be Rickard. So we are hitting on 4s because everybody still has that -1 evasion. 2 hits. Head and waist. All right, so Rickard is going to spend his survival to dodge that. Oh, Rickard already spent his survival. Boo. So that is a heavy wound to his head. So Rickard is knocked down. Oh, also we gotta spin him around. And we do gaseous bloat. All right. So it's back around to our turn. So we don't really have to worry about getting into the heinous origin because our next wound is going to end the fight anyway. So we're just going to go with Shirley. She's already in the blind spot. That does hit in the blind spot. It wasn't the trap, guys. You see? It wasn't the trap. Festering heel. The strangely jointed leg spasms, splashing brackish water over the frog dog's oozing skin. Just roll a 5. Jeez. Grigori, let's get you into the blind spot, too. We don't have to worry about the mammoth leaf. Well, no, we might have to worry about the mammoth leaf. The festering thigh. Grigori already has a proctophilia. You're right. You're right, Amelia. So if I say this is going to fail, then it's going to wound by that logic. So 4 or lower. We want to see a 4 or lower. You're a genius. All right, that is a fight. That is so much more interesting than the White Lion. There's a lot to keep in mind there. And everybody survived. It was close, but everybody survived. All right. And we got some cool stuff here. I'm probably going to hold on to this until I can get his crafting location, because something tells me this is important. We did it. All right, so Aftermath, everybody gets an XP. And we get rewards, which is 4 basic resources, 4 Frog Dog resources. Oh, that's cool. Since the Frog Dog ate the lion, we also get 1 White Lion resource. That's fun. So everybody gets an XP. And let's see what resources we get. 4 basics. Got a hide, an organ, a bone, and a love juice. That's cool. Gonna hold on to that. And then we get an elastic tongue, a supple nose, a spindly paw, and another waxy dermis. All right, we got a fair amount of hide. That's not bad. And then I got to go grab the White Lion cards. From that, we got the lion testes. Oh, cool. The frog ate his balls. So only 2 bones. That's unfortunate. Elastic tongue does count as a hide, though, so that's nice. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hides. So we can almost build. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, that's not a bad start. All right, so we get to do our first settlement phase of the new campaign. Survivors return. We gain 1 endeavor for each returning survivor. I thought for sure we were going to lose at least 1, but we didn't. And we update our timeline. So we get to actually take our first look at our new timeline here. We have some new stuff. So since we are doing Spidicules, instead of endless screams, we have young rivals. And then this is going to be interesting. Since we are not using the Kingsman and we are using Lion Knight, we're replacing armored strangers with uninvited guest. And according to the rules that they have published, you fight a level 1 Lion Knight on year 8, a level 2 on year 12, and a level 3 on year 16. We're actually going to end up doing that on year 17 because we can't have 2 Nemesis encounters in 1 year. So that means we're going to be fighting a level 3 Lion Knight before we would have fought a level 2 Kingsman. I think the Lion Knight's easier. I've heard it's actually a really interesting fight. I'm excited to see what it does. But yeah, the front half of this campaign is loaded. So we check off our first lantern year. We got to do first day, which I'm pretty sure I left on top. I did. The first settlement event will help set up your settlement. It's the first event of any new campaign. Survivors wander, drawn to a blooming light in the distance. They find the serene comfort of a towering pile of lanterns and a small collection of scared people. On a deep instinctual level, they know this area is safe and they make it their home. Roll a d10 to determine your starting population. I normally keep d10 over here for this. Oof. So we get 6 new survivors. Last time we got 10. All right, so we're going to have to... We might spend that love juice right away. So our starting population, oh, not that one. Our starting population is 10. That's rough. Return to the settlement section of the first story and proceed to returning survivors. The first day settlement event will not be used again. Archive it. I do enjoy being organized. Very satisfying, Lantis. So we still have to come back here. First story. This is all the tutorial stuff. We know all this, so we still have to do first day. No, we did first day, so we're back to returning survivors. Yeah, I think that's actually in here. Yeah, there it is. Returning survivors. All right. So nominate a survivor to utter the first words. Traditionally, I will have the person that dealt the killing blow do this, which I believe was Rickard? Or Chandra. It was Chandra. It was one of them. However, I'm going to game this a bit because Grigori has this disorder where he must depart with stinky gear. And I don't think we're going to get any stinky gear in year 1 or in the prologue year. So I'm going to choose Grigori. Grigori, you're in charge. The nominated survivor steps forward and gains +1 courage. Check. They lead the other survivors in learning to speak to one another. They discuss their situation, realizing they must hunt to live. Add the white lion to the quarry. We're not doing that. We have the frog dog. We're adding the frog dog instead. The settlement record sheet. Your settlement gains the language innovation. Search the innovation cards. Okay, yeah. I know I already set that up, so we will grab language. So we gain the encourage survival action. And I've conveniently set up all those little chips for that. Survival limit +1. So our survival limit is now 2. Okay, we need our name. What did chat suggest for names? I don't think we're going to do Unmute Me, Amelia. The Prefecture of Punishment. The Village of Violent Creatures. That might be our winner. I like that. Oh, you have no idea how much there is to keep track of in this game. The Village of Violent Creatures. So that means we are the violent creatures, right? I like that. So returning survivors gain +1 survival. That's nice. So everybody is up to 2 except for Rickard, who goes to 1. I'm not violent. I'm unlucky. I'm not violent. All right, so that's done. Set up the innovation deck. So again, just for purposes, we have language. We now add the language consequences to the innovation deck, which I already did to set up. Symposium, paint, interlantern, hovel, drums, and ammonia. So on subsequent years, we are going to be able to draw from those and improve our settlement. Finished with their work, the settlement gathers around his glowing center. Armed with language, the nominated survivor aptly names the glowing center of their home the Lantern Horde. The settlement gains the Lantern Horde settlement location. Nope, didn't want that. So I'm actually going to grab a few while I'm here, because we're going to need all of these. Okay. So we want Lantern Horde first. And then we'll just stick the rest of these in here because we're gonna open those up. Nominated survivor sits in front of the Lantern Horde in awe and gains +1 understanding. Check. So we can know that he is Grigori Fartquad. A survivor gaining a surname is actually like a mechanical thing in this game. So we can't give anybody a surname, but we'll know. Check off the skip hunt box on the survivor's record sheet. They cannot be selected as a departing survivor this phase. We very specifically chose Grigori for that reason. Return to the first story to complete the settlement phase. So I already know what the rest of the first story is. So we're just going to continue our way through the settlement phase. We've updated our timeline. Update death count, not needed. Check milestones. We haven't done any of those yet. First child, first death. Population reaches 15. That's going to be nice. 5 innovations, and population reaches 0. So last time around, we hit 5 innovations on like year 7 or 8. It was the year we fought the Butcher. So that would have been year 4. Really, year 4? No, must have been after year 4. I must be misremembering. We're going to get innovations a lot quicker this time around because we have, just because of the expansions we have loaded in. So that's going to be interesting. And develop. So now we get to spend our innovations. So we're going to spend 3 innovations opening up the Bonesmith, the Skinnery, and the Organ Grinder, which I have conveniently already done. And so this gives us our crafting locations. This 4th innovation, have some ideas for that. But let's grab all of our resources and see what we can do here. No, actually, I don't want that there. Well, I'm going to set that aside. No, again, it's... And we also got a couple bonus ones. So this Aqueous Eye, this seemed really special. So I'm going to hold on to this until I unlock the Frog Dog crafting location, just to see what it is. So we're going to hold on to that one. Beyond that, straight up, 1 hide, 2 hide, 3 hide, 4 hide. Nothing important. Nothing important. Oh, those are names. Okay. All right. So we are going to make 4 pieces of our rawhide set. I see what you did there, Amelia. So let's go find our Skinnery. Where are you? There you are. Come on. So we are going to make boots, gloves, headband, and vest. We will hold off on the pants for just a moment. And then we have 2 bones to work with. So I always want a bone dart. And then, yeah, bone axe is usually pretty helpful. So we'll spend our bone and our bone. And we're not going to use these testes for anything else. So that's our organ. Bonesmith. So I want a bone axe. And not bone dagger, bone dart. We have 2 more organs to spend. It might be worth making a monster grease. Yeah. That's a good start. That is a good start. Organ grinder. Monster grease. So let's guess that's almost a full tank set out of the gate. 1 more hide and we will have our first character kitted out. So that's not bad for a first run. We still have our last endeavor to spend. Shared experience, can't do that. Augury. I don't think it's worth doing augury just yet. However, I think I will spend the love juice to trigger intimacy. And for anybody who watched campaign 1, this could get spicy. But we're going to do that. We're going to trigger intimacy with the love juice. Because I would like to get Survival of the Fittest online as soon as possible. All right. So good news, again, for anybody who watched campaign 1, we're not rolling with disadvantage. We're just rolling straight up. This is still terrifying. I'm going to do the thing. No. Survival of the Fittest is still the right choice. I just got some rules wrong with it. Okay. Oh my God. The couple cannot bear the weight of the world. They clasp hands and march into the deep and endless darkness. The nominated survivors are dead. All right, so we didn't trigger our new birth principle, but we do get to trigger our death principle. So these 2 unnamed survivors are dead. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. So we get to choose our death principle. That's nice. So this is where I would like to see some more of the small expansion content come to the simulator. There is an expansion you can buy in real life. The Ringtail Vixen, I believe it is called. that will literally put a bookmark on this page or on the intimacy page with special effects if you roll a 1. That's not here just yet. All right, so principal death. We're choosing Graves because Graves is the only choice. Cannibalism is not worth choosing. All new survivors gain +1 understanding. That's nice. Oh, come on. And then when a survivor dies during the showdown, we gain 2 endeavors. When the survivor dies during the settlement phase, we gain 1 endeavor. Does not count that one because they died before we chose Graves. However, we do get to roll a 1d10. A 9. Nominate a survivor with tears in their eyes. The survivor takes a shard of rock from the grave and marks themselves with it. They cherish this mark forever. The survivor gains +1 permanent luck. We're going to choose Chandra. Chandra is going to be our starting Fist and Tooth survivor. So, oh boy. Yeah, 1 more bone would have been real nice, but oh well. How greedy do I want to be, chat? I would really like to get survival of the fittest happening. I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to consider augury, but I would lose the eye if I rolled a 1 to 3. So we're not going to be that greedy. I need to see what this eye does. So we're just going to spend our last endeavor to craft a stone nose. We'll get that to our main tank. All right, so let's kit out our departing survivors. We need a replacement for Grigori. Oh, well, thank you for that. I will do my best. All right, we need a name for this person. Amelia, you gave me some names. I remember that. I need a male name for this. Aegis? So you're saying Aegis like the shield or Aegis like the Persona character? What were you going for there? Okay. I'm okay with calling this person Aegis. Nobody else really has anything of import. So let's just go ahead and make Aegis our starting tank. Hey, new guy, get out there. So we do all this stuff. So he's going to have some nice stats. Now, new guy is going to be just fine. New guy is the only one who's going to survive this next fight. Yeah, did I get the stone nose? Yeah, there it is. I'm going to give the stone nose to Rickard because he's a little short on survival. We are going to give the bone darts. Let's give the bone darts to Shirley. Rickard's going to stick with his founding stone for now. And Chandra is going to just fist and tooth it. but she'll be critting on an 8, so that feels pretty good. Beyond that, I just need to do some cleanup. Can I roll? I can roll an 8. It's possible. Like, there's one right here. And there's one right here. Look, I rolled 2 8s right here. Don't look at that die. So I'm going to take just a short break to deal with all of the cleanup and housekeeping and whatnot to start our next encounter. So stick around for just a few, and I will be back shortly.